Folks, this week has been a cluster, a disaster, and a true testament to the derangement that is liberalism. The way the Democrats, the media, and members of the radical rainbow mafia have been able to twist, pervert, and flat out lie about the tragedy in Nashville to fit their sick agenda is appalling and a new low. Which leads me to my selections for losers of the week. Not long after the news broke about the devastating Christian school shooting right here in Nashville, Tennessee, our president and the leader of the free world had this to say.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Dr. Joe Biden's husband. And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip. I came down because I heard there was chocolate chip ice cream. By the way, I have a whole refrigerator full upstairs. I think I'm kidding. I'm not. God. It's a delight to have you all here. And who are those good-looking kids back there? They're your kids, all four of them? Well, stand up, guys.
Joking about ice cream and good-looking kids? 3 children under the age of 10 were just slaughtered by a trans person, and that's your response? Your demeanor, your flavor of leadership in the immediate wake of tragedy? I'm sickened, and as a Nashvilleian, I'm even more repulsed. But folks, it didn't end there. A day later, when confronted with the reality of Christians, something he proclaims to be, being targeted, this was his response.
Do you believe that Christians were targeted in Nashville school shooting? Do you believe that Christians were targeted?
I have no idea.
Josh Foley believes they were. What do you say to that?
Well, I probably don't then.
Probably don't.
No, I'm joking. No, I have no idea.
You know, Joe says a lot of stupid things, like a lot, and sometimes the things he says are so discombobulated they're funny. But to laugh when asked about the slaughter of Christian school children, that's low, even for Joe and even for a Democrat. The trans psychosis in this country has reached a fever pitch, and at this rate, real women won't have much of anything left in this country. And it's not just sports and bathrooms, now it's sororities too. Before I get into this next story, I want to start with the definition of a sorority, a society for female students in a university or college, typically for social purposes. Well, apparently the Kappa Kappa Gamma sisterhood hasn't looked that one up recently, as they allowed a bio man to join said sisterhood at the University of Wyoming. Well, 7 past and present sorority members are suing the Kappa Kappa Gamma sisterhood for its 2022 decision to admit transgender inductee Artemis Langford to the University of Wyoming chapter. These actual women are not seeking damages. They just want an end to this madness and are asserting quite accurately that certain sorority officials have perverted their mission of 150 years to unite women. And why is this a problem, you ask? Well, this bio man is set to live with the women in the sorority house in the coming year. And fun fact, doors to the sorority house's communal bathrooms do not lock, and the primary bathroom on the 2nd floor does not have a private area to disrobe before showering. The lawsuit also alleges this Artemis man often sits and watches the females in the house, which is creepy enough, but it gets worse. The lawsuit alleges he is sexually interested in women and that he has a profile on Tinder through which he seeks to meet women. Oh, and while watching members enter the sorority house, he had an erection visible through his leggings, the suit says, and other times he just has a pillow on his lap. Well, no freaking duh, because this is a man who is posing as a woman to fulfill his sick perversions and do it under the protected guise of being trans. So to these brave women, I say, sue the pants off the sorority, no pun intended. Why men are so desperately trying to be women in this day and age is mind-boggling, but also not, given the fact it's been so celebrated. So my final loser of the week really irks me because I'm a loyal customer of this company and am, in fact, wearing it right now. Rent the Runway, the popular designer clothing rental company, decided to, of course, spotlight a male to advertise the brand. Take a look.
Hi, I'm on vacation in Austin, so I ordered a few items to try out from Rent the Runway. Here's a daytime option, and the top is stod, and I was so excited to see that they had it on there. This little number is designed by Esteban Cortazar, and it's giving me flamenco vibes, and it just makes me want to go out dancing with my girlfriends. I love it. Last but not least, this red stod mini is to die for. And I've always loved a high neck, and this is the clear winner in my eyes, so I will be wearing this tonight.
I was appalled when I saw this on my feed, but when I looked through the comments, I was pleasantly surprised to see the majority of commenters were equally repulsed. Newsflash to Rent the Runway. Making an absolute mockery of the women you're trying to sell memberships to probably ain't the best route. Go woke, go broke. Folks, I despise TikTok. Not only do I know it's a Chinese communist spy and surveillance apparatus, I know it's making young Americans dumber. That's just a fact. But I hate to say this, the current bipartisan legislation on the table to ban it also gives me cause for pause. The bill itself essentially gives the U.S. government carte blanche to control and go after any and everything bureaucrats deem a national security risk. It's essentially the Patriot Act for the internet, and after reading it, I'm deeply troubled. Can y'all just go after TikTok? Joining me now with her taking all of it is Florida Republican Congresswoman Kat Cammack. Congresswoman, it's so great to have you.
Hey, good to be back.
So I know that you've talked a lot about TikTok. You refer to it as digital fentanyl, and I don't disagree with you, by the way. I agree with you wholeheartedly. My audience knows how much I despise TikTok. But the bill to ban it has been given a lot of conservatives a little bit of a cause for pause. It feels less about a ban on TikTok and more like an infringement and free reign for the government to do as they please. So you got to tell me what's going on with this and what we need to know.
Well, listen, like you, I have the exact same concerns. And in all of my testimony before the CEO, in all of my interviews, everything that I've done in the way of talking about this issue, I've been very cognizant to be careful about the word banning, because it's a very slippery slope when we talk about government picking winners and losers, first and foremost, and going after a private enterprise. Now, step back for just 1 second. You have to remember that TikTok is a subsidiary wholly owned by ByteDance, which is an extension of the CCP. They are required by Chinese law to have members of the Politburo sit on their board of directors, and they serve in the highest levels of senior management. So the Chinese Communist Party has full access to our data, despite the fact that they claim that, no, that's not happening. It actually is. In fact, they've gone after American journalists who are writing questionable pieces about TikTok. So we know that they're siphoning off our biometric data, tracking our keystrokes. We know that they're going after our geolocations. And then they have a behavioral algorithm. Like I said, it's digital fentanyl. It's designed to basically keep your eyes on the screen while they pilfer through your phone. But what we have to do as legislators is make sure that we're preventing that national security risk while also simultaneously protecting the First Amendment, which is for speech, and the Fourth Amendment from warrantless data collection that is happening. I have the same beef with other social media companies like Meta and Snapchat, because they also take your data, but then they turn around and sell it. It's a little bit different than what TikTok does. They're not selling your data. They're using it for nefarious wartime purposes. But no matter what, we have to take action. And I think that there is a way we can do this without creating the Patriot Act 2.0.
There's also been a lot of discussion about just simply acquiring TikTok and maybe Oracle acquiring it, other companies maybe acquiring it, moving the servers and the data to the United States so it's more manageable. Is that a viable solution? I know that TikTok itself has really pushed back against that, saying that it wouldn't solve any of our concerns or problems. But is that option still on the table?
I think China answered that question for us. You know, China, 1 hour before the hearing where the CEO of TikTok came before my committee, Energy and Commerce, to testify, they made a statement out of their Politburo, their propaganda arm, and then their Minister of Foreign Affairs said China will not tolerate a sale of TikTok to Americans. And so it's pretty clear that they're saying the quiet part out loud. This is a wholly owned aspect of their espionage complex. So China will never allow that to happen. So any talk about Americans purchasing TikTok and divesting from China, mainland China will never let that happen, because this tracks exactly along the line of what Chairman Xi Jinping had laid out, going all the way back to 2013 in producing short form video that amplified Chinese voices, that targeted alternative countries and territories. This all goes back to their acquisition of Musical.ly. So this has been a long time plan for the CCP. And with regard to Project Texas, where Oracle would come in and kind of be that firewall, even Oracle isn't 100% convinced that they can maintain the robust standards that are required to keep the CCP out. I think we need to focus more broadly on a larger national data privacy piece of legislation that will hold all social media companies accountable and that will prevent that warrantless data collection and subsequent sale of our data.
So where does that leave us then with getting TikTok out? I mean, that'd be great if we could hold them accountable, but as you've already mentioned, China's not going to play ball here. So it's very hard for the average American to understand how you can just ban it without going after free speech and content and the internet and making this a Patriot Act. Is there a way to almost surgically go in and say, this is just a TikTok thing, we don't want the Chinese communists infiltrating our phones? Is that possible with this bureaucracy?
You know, under this administration, I'm not sure if they're up to the task, because what this would require is really us going through the CFIUS process, you know, the foreign investment that is taking place with TikTok in the United States. I think that there's a way we can do it. I think we're seeing states putting efforts in across college campuses. We've already banned this on government devices. I think that there's a fundamental misunderstanding of how the tech actually works, and people keep saying, oh, you're prohibiting my First Amendment speech. No one wants to do that. If you want to sit around all day and eat bonbons and watch dancing videos, that's your prerogative. But you know what? If you're compromising national security, you should be held accountable for that. And so I think with the CCP, we've got to play some hardball. I think that there is a way we can do this, but an outright ban, the way that it's written in some of this legislation, it's a no-go for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. What would you say to those, especially young people out there that love TikTok, that say, I don't care if the communists are watching what I'm doing online. I don't care if they see my videos of me cooking chicken and NyQuil, whatever other stupid crap I'm doing on TikTok. That doesn't bother me. I've got nothing to hide, because that's the argument I hear from young people all the time in reference to TikTok. What do you tell them?
Well, you know, and again, that's their prerogative. That's their First Amendment right to put anything out there. And as long as it's not infringing on others' rights, God bless you. And I will protect that right. However, you may not care today, but in years from now, when you are in your late teens, early 20s, and maybe you want to join the military, or maybe you want to join federal service or get a security clearance, keep in mind that the CCP now owns all of your biometric data, your financial data, your network, who you're connected to, who you communicate with, how and when. You are compromised as far as it relates to being involved in those types of activities. And so that's something we have to consider as this next generation of men and women join our armed services. Are they going to be compromised by the CCP? This was highlighted precisely when India banned TikTok nationally and they asked for the data back. The CCP said no, they were going to use that data in case of war. That's pretty terrifying. So even though you may not have concerns today, you definitely will have concerns tomorrow. And as it relates to all the ridiculous challenges, I think that parents need to have more of a role in having some safeguards in there. It was highlighted that they had a video up that was a direct death threat to the chairwoman of our committee. It had been up there violating their own community guidelines for over 41 days. If they can't follow their own community guidelines, do I expect them to follow U.S. law? No. So I think it's just something people need to use a little bit of common sense. And besides, everybody takes those TikToks and put them on Reel on Instagram anyway. So just use the Reels.
I agree with you. Some people love their TikTok. I am not a fan of anybody over at Meta or Instagram or Google or YouTube, but I feel a little bit safer knowing that there are some safeguards in place to keep those big tech companies accountable. Thank you for everything that you're doing, and also for speaking up about some of the concerns that a lot of conservatives are having right now about this potential ban. And thank you for always standing up for freedom. Congresswoman, we appreciate you being with us.